people sort of don't factor in that, you know, anyone can get injured at any time as well. Like if you look at what's happened at Liverpool, for example, like they'd have probably, like, you know, they'd do anything to sort of go back in time now and sign, I don't know, maybe Ben White or someone like that.
It's not straightforward, is it, putting a squad of players together? You know, you need your squad of, it's a Premier League squad of 25 or whatever. But also, you know, in the transfer window, you probably want to try and sign players who are going to be starting players. So you probably, I know it sounds a bit obvious, but you want to probably look at the areas that you feel that might be weak and sign players to go in as starting players if you possibly can. And obviously in the Premier League, they don't come cheap, you know, they don't. It's a little bit like, you know, Newcastle signed Callum Wilson and he would start normally, Jeff Hendrick, and he would probably start. The left back, Jamal Lewis, looked to start. And then what it does is those players who were in that position, they'll have less minutes, they'll become squad players. They might actually step up and have a battle with that player and you know, and overtake or get back into the team. Or like you say, there might be an injury. But you know, when you're signing players, no player really, I've never met any player that wants to sit on the bench regularly, you know, on a Saturday or whenever the games are played, because they're played on every single day. But you know, people have to realise that it is a squad game. You know, there's a lot of, I mean, the fixture congestion this year has just been, you know, it's been worse than any other particular year. So you're relying on your squad. When you talked about Liverpool, I actually think, you know, that challenge of Jordan Pickford on Van Dijk, when was it? Back in early December, was it even?
I think it was before that.
Yeah,
November.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised that Liverpool didn't just get a, I know it's just as an easy word to say, but I'm surprised Liverpool on the 1st of January didn't have a reinforcement to come in. Perhaps the thinking obviously was, well, we've got Matip, we've got Joe Gomez, we've got another good young player coming through. Let's just see how we go. But he, you know, losing Van Dijk was such a pivotal moment for me to not sign on the 1st of January, and it's easier said than done, and to sign two young players at the last day of the window. You know, that's a month, that's possibly 7 or 8 fixtures gone. I don't think it was the right thing to do, but
sort of it works both ways, because if they weren't sort of going to sign somebody by that 1st of January date, I think they could have sort of blooded in a youngster from earlier on, sort of from back when the Van Dijk injury happened. They could have sort of done better to, you know, integrate, because if anything, Klopp sort of, in my opinion, I think is being stubborn playing two central midfielders in that role. Like, okay, they've done fairly well, you could say, but maybe if they would have sort of brought through one of their kids who was, you know, that had high potential, they could have sort of unearthed sort of like a gem, or they could have sort of fast tracked his like progress. It's not guaranteed, obviously, nothing's guaranteed in football, but if they weren't going to sign somebody, they could have sort of given that player that exposure.
And a compromise at midfield as well, taking that to the holding midfielders back into centre back, and it's just been a regression from Liverpool ever since.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, you don't know what the conversations they were having within the club and within the recruitment department. It might have been that the consensus was, we'll be okay, we've got enough in the building to cover us, and then they've had another injury on top of that, haven't they? And so then they've gone, oh, and to be honest, that's how, that's how things can happen particularly when a window's opening or a window's already open. If an injury happens, you can respond to it